Hey everyone, welcome to Smart AF, which is our new series that we have created for brands and manufacturers in automotive aftermarket, power sports, and motorsports to talk about ways to improve your marketing, your e-com, anything having to do with digital. We want to start hearing from the experts in the space. So our first expert up is Ryan. He's the CEO of Refersion, which is an affiliate platform. So, hey, Ryan.
Hey, Erica, how are you? I'm so super excited to get to chat with you and be on here today.
Yeah, for sure. Great to have you on. And a quick backstory of how I got to know Ryan. So at Autofluencer, we actually started using Refersion for some of our brand partners who wanted to build out affiliate programs. And for us, we spent a lot of time doing a lot of research. We had a bit of a unique use case in that we wanted to find a partner who worked across a lot of different e-com platforms. As you guys all know, in our space, there is no one dominant player. We got WooCommerce, we got BigCommerce, we got Magento, we got Shopify, we got someone's homegrown cousin built something, we got a little bit e-dealer tools. I mean, we've got so much in our space. So we needed a partner that could work across all of them and was also really easy to use. And our other requirement is they had a real team of humans based on the Western Hemisphere, so in the United States, Canada. And so we've had a great experience with Refersion. So Ryan and I have gotten to know each other, so I wanted to have him on. So we're super pumped. So we will launch right into it. Some of the people listening to this will have an affiliate platform already, or they may not have an affiliate. So let's start with those that don't have anything yet. They've thought about it. Maybe they tried something back in the day and it was an epic failure. What is your advice, Ryan, to someone thinking about starting an affiliate program and putting technology into place? Like, where do you even help them begin with that thought process?
I've worked with hundreds of e-commerce companies in previous roles and in this role. I think when you're starting with affiliate and you're thinking about what kind of technology do I need, the most important thing in this process, and you probably see it yourself, is you have to have affiliates. You have to kind of have an understanding of who am I trying to partner with and how am I trying to reach those people? And if you don't know exactly who you want to work with, you definitely want to prioritize a platform that can bring on anybody from anywhere. Sometimes you can find great big publisher networks, and sometimes the downside is they might not have that micro influencer that you just think is great, but doesn't have a ton of followers, but they might be the perfect fit. And so really a platform that is conducive to tracking anybody from anywhere. The next phase, I think, is really just...
Wait, real quick, I just want to stop you there, Ryan. That for us was a big thing for our space because there is no platform out there for our industry. In a lot of cases, you're paying for that database of creators, and they just don't have the creators in our space. It just doesn't really exist. For us, we didn't want a platform where their whole thing was and you can find all, because I can tell you right now to any brands listening, if somebody gives you that pitch, we're going to help you find all these people to be in your affiliate program. No, they're not. No, they're not. Not in our space. If you guys were slinging mascara, maybe, but you're slinging superchargers, they are not going to be helpful. So there is some effort there. So completely agreed there, Ryan.
Yeah, if it's beauty or home goods, sure, you can find a lot. But once you get into anything niche, automotive, those specifics, it narrows the list down. So having that flexibility is really important. I think the next thing to think about, the operational side of affiliate. You bring them on, they drive some sales, you have to pay them. If you're paying higher commissions because these are higher dollar value products, you have to think about tax, compliance, forms. And so automating that process, it might feel fine now, right? We just got a bunch of sales. But when you get around to tax time, your accounting team will not love having to do all of this manually. So thinking about tools where it's we can just pay them direct from our bank account, or we can just pay them direct on PayPal. Tax forms will all be handled, and we don't have to worry about it. We could just focus on finding good affiliates, finding good creators, working with them from a partnerships perspective instead of obsessing over the ops part. I think those are the two sort of ground rules. Of course, easy to set up, really, really important. You want to be able to just go. You don't want to have to... There's something worse than buying a thing and then going, and then I will spend a month implementing it.
Yeah.
It's not fun. Something that you could just plug and play, get going. I can track people. I can add them. Those, I think, would be the the really big keys to think about.
And as a user, I can speak to that. So like one thing we did for our brand partners, when those that use Refersion and use Autofluencer, we actually set everything up for our brand partners as part of kind of like, I guess, gift with purchase. It was so easy. Like I figured it out. I mean, one of your team members took me through it, but then I was able to go back in really easy. It's really intuitive. I have used a few of the other affiliate tools with some of our other partners who I would love to switch them. I'm working on it, switching to Refersion because it's just so much easier to use. But I do think like ease of use is something that people forget about and how easy it is to onboard. You know, user friendliness, it's a very like obvious tool, right? Like you can figure out, like you go to like, you know, like affiliates. There's all your affiliates, right? Like another tool I use, they like name everything. Like it takes me 5 minutes to figure out where I need to go every single time. So we won't name names. You know what I'm talking about. So that's for someone who doesn't have anything. What about once you're up and live, let's say on Refersion, what are tips you have to people that are like, because we see this in our space a lot, even with some of our partners, they get live and then they're like, nothing's happening. Like nobody's selling anything. What are some ideas you have for them to then like, you know, because I think some people just assume that if a content creator posts something on social media, it's obviously going to sell immediately. What are some tips you have there?
A lot of it boils down to the type of product and like really having a good understanding of how does a normal person go through this purchase process. A specific turbocharger or supercharger that only fits for a certain type of vehicle, recognizing this is a pretty high considered purchase for an individual that's only going to fit a certain number of vehicles. Like it's a small audience that we're trying to reach, and it's a significant effort that they're going to go into to make this decision. So it's going to take time, right? So understanding that it takes time means working with your affiliate partners to produce content over time, right? More regular frequency and volume of posts so that you're sort of reminding folks like, hey, this is something that you were thinking about, like helping them get over that hump of motivation. It's important, right? Of course, you could just drop a plug once and then hope that they come back, but you're going to have all of your competitors doing the exact same thing, trying to interact with them throughout that process. So it's just staying in front of them. And then I think when it comes to like, how do I motivate my affiliate partners and creator partners to stay interested in doing this? A lot of it just comes from nurturing that relationship, recognizing that they're humans. I think in automotive, a lot of times they might have a special affinity for your brand. And so trying to lean into that, like what can you do to try to keep them involved and motivated here? Maybe practically when you're doing a partnership, avoid one-off, hey, make a post or make one single integration video and that's it. Like think a little bit longer term, 4, 5, 6 integrations over a span of time, or look across different channels, just recognizing that it's not as easy. Now, if you're just selling bumper stickers, right? Like, sure, yeah, that should just happen. But if it's in most cases a higher dollar item, more considered purchase, like there's a process into getting that part installed on the vehicle. It's not just the thing that they're just going to drop and do often. I mean, it can happen, I'm sure, but like not often.
I couldn't agree more. It really is a time. And that's where I think the beauty of having a tool like ours that does show kind of that volume of posting. And then we can contrast that against the conversions and say, look, the people that did get clicks or that did get sales, they posted more frequently. They posted over a longer period of time. Another thing I like about what you said, again, just kind of comparing tools, is one thing I really liked about Refersion, which I didn't know what I didn't know at the time until I used other tools or looked at other tools. You guys default start with a 90-day window that you're tracking against. And as the user, I can very easily change that and make it longer or shorter if I wanted. For our industry, I would absolutely say don't make it shorter than 90 days. And in some cases, it may, if your consideration, like Ryan said, is longer, you may want a 6-month or even a 1-year window on that for those higher ticket items. And I love that it's so flexible. Again, use another tool. It is not flexible. The default is insanely low, like the time period, which is just so unfair. And it was extremely hard to change it. We had to go through like admins upon admin. So I did appreciate that. I thought that showed a lot of foresight from Refersion and just an understanding of how the process works. It is not a wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. We're in like 2 weeks. It's going to be like so many sales, you know?
I think one of the things that we recognize And it's important for brands to recall this, right? You might find, oh, if we don't have to pay the commission on it because it's outside the window, we save ourselves some money. But on the partner side, it makes it so that they're not really interested in working with you. They know that they're going to put
Right.
in effort
Right.
and not see result. We want to stand in a place where we recognize the process on both sides so that both parties feel really good about, I can trust the tracking, I can trust the window, I can trust the payments to come through. And as a merchant or a brand, you're thinking, it's just so easy to set up and it works. So
Yeah.
everybody feels really good about it. If you try to be sneaky with windows and not paying out commissions, you'll just sort of get blacklisted from a lot of affiliates wanting to work with you. And it gets around. I
Yeah.
mean, that was my experience, especially in the influencer world. They talk. And so you want to be the person that they're recommending coming to your brand. And that's probably a way to grow that bench is you have some successful partnerships and you lean on them to help extend that reach. But it does work the other way, right? If you burn some bridges, they will let everybody else know, don't work with this brand. And that can be pretty detrimental, really hard to recover from.
It's funny you say that. That for sure happens in our industry, right? It is a very relationship-driven industry. And I was just at a conference recently that is a whole bunch of brands and manufacturers and a whole bunch of influencers and racers and media. And when all the influencers and racers would get together, they'd all be talking, like, oh, shoot, like, have you worked with those guys? Like, what are they like? Like, and then inversely, all the manufacturers would sit around and be like, oh, have you worked with that influencer? What are they like? And so everybody does talk. And I think that's a really great point. I think that's why we align so well too, is our thought process as a company and our philosophy is very much like, this is a partnership. This is a relationship. We're not just transactional, even though we're talking about transactions.
Yeah.
One thing I think that we've seen too just play out in the data across some of our affiliate programs is, I think for a lot of the creators, if you are partnering with them and you're giving them product, especially if you are on that higher level product, I think the commission is like an icing, right? It's not a cake, especially if you know how it is a longer consideration set. It might be a smaller population that is going to be able to afford this product or is going to be in the market for this product in the next 3, 6, even 12 months. Giving them a discount. Another thing I think is really cool about Reversion is how easy it is to set up the different types of campaigns, as far as like ones that have, it's just a discount only and no commission, or it's a commission and a discount. And so having both the link and the promo code, we've actually really seen that play out very, very well. And actually in one of our programs with you all, for one of our brand partners, originally it was just like a commission only to the creators and they could have a link and they could put it on their partner page. And one of the creators, influencers was like, I don't need the 10% or whatever it is. She's like, I would rather have a discount for my community of 10%. Can we switch it? And so we switched it for her. And interestingly, she's the only one that sold anything. She also posts a lot more, but she had the discount for her community. And so I think there's a blend there. How often do you see people blending a promo code discount with a commission program?
I think historically you would think, oh, I'll pay them a commission. They'll be motivated. This will drive them to try to push out sales. But these creators, they understand who their followers are. They know who their audience is. They interact with them a lot. Maybe it's through DMs, sure, but like they do feel like they are sort of running this community. So they know really well what will resonate with them and what aligns with what they've done historically and what they've seen success from. But for sure, across the industry, we see various plays where it's blended more so, or it might lean more towards a commission if you can be aggressive because it's a high margin product. We were talking about beauty earlier, right? High margin product, sure, you can be really, really aggressive, and that's all about just transaction volume. But when it switches, that's when we see it kind of shift over to, it's almost a more strategic way of thinking, like, how do I get in front of this person and make it interesting for them? Because they're not going to necessarily be able to grab this discount code from everywhere. Not everything is just on sale, right? So I want to have that incentive for why they go through this partner. And that partner will also feel like, yeah, there's a reason why I want to work with you because you're benefiting my community. So it's definitely split. I think the folks that tend to not do any commission, sometimes there is just restrictions there with, we don't have the margin for it, or we don't want to ship the product. And there could be other things operationally that fall into that mix, but nowadays more and more folks are just kind of blending just to figure out what will work with the folks that they're working with.
What about for someone that's using a current product and thinking about switching to a different product? What are some of the tips or advice you would give them of things they need to contemplate on what a switch might be like, right?
I think there's a couple of components, right? Switching is not abnormal. A lot of folks that we talk to are working with something else and they're just kind of tired of it. They're kind of frustrated with a limit in the network, or they're trying to shift to more influencers or whatever it might be. So it's not uncommon at all. I think that there are some things that they want to think about logistically, right? You've got to notify your affiliate group, your influencers, hey, we're making this change. We're going to shut this program down. If they're using tracking links, right? They can just redirect them. Sometimes marketers, it's a thing that they don't think about. Like, yeah, you could just redirect all of those links, assign them new links, and you'll be able to get them up and going really, really easily. Pretty straightforward. I think the cool thing that we've tried to approach it from Reversion's perspective is the way that we actually track isn't a heavy lift to get installed. And so getting started is really, really simple. And even if you had another solution that you're like, we're trying to wind this down, there's nothing technologically that limits you from like, well, we could just spin this up and start moving over here while we wind this down. We don't have to do a hard break. Now, maybe you might want to do that just to manage the process. But do remember, right? Like you've got to notify these folks of where that switch is happening. They will probably have to upload their financial information to that new place that you're working with. So there's going to be some time and some lag, but it's definitely common. I think where we see the shift happening is folks are attracted to working with more of these smaller creators, smaller affiliates that just aren't in the networks. And so they want to just be able to track everybody. And like, how can I track a bunch of micro influencers and really, really big publishers in one place? Because those influencers, I can't find them over there. That's what you would use. That's a common case that we would see on our end.
Yeah, those are great tips. Last thing so we can wrap up, trying to keep it under 20 minutes, would be, what is a hard way lesson that you see people doing affiliate programs learn where they're like, oh, we shouldn't have done that. Like, or a tip or something they didn't think about that they're like, oh, we should have done that from the gate. What's like one, like, ooh, when you do it, make sure you do this.
I think when you approach affiliate, you have to understand that it's a bit of a sales game, right? It's a numbers play. You have to reach out to a lot of folks. And so when we talk with brands that see affiliate as having a huge impact, right? We expect that influencer and affiliate and these are going to be huge for us. That means you need to spend a lot of time building out this bench. You can't just bring on one person, even if you're paying them a lot of money and think, and then we will make $1 million. It does not work that way. It's a numbers game. You have to continue to scale it out. You have to continue to be present because a lot of this content, even if it's through a publisher, it's not evergreen, right? It goes through the cycle and it goes away. So constantly pushing through it and recognizing this is, once we get it going, we just have to keep it going. And I think where we see most merchants fall is that they presume it will be easier with fewer relationships and it will have a massive impact. And then they're disappointed when they don't see that immediate result. Often if you peel it back, you go, actually, this works. You just now 10x this, just 10x the volume and you'll see the throughput. But they just sometimes give up. So we're actually trying to do a lot of work on our end. And I know talking with you that you've recognized the importance of this is helping folks with that process of how can we make it easier? How can we suggest more affiliates? How can we do the things that are essential, but maybe not always like the most fun part of the job?
It is. I mean, it's aligning your expectations of, big returns are big effort. It's not a set it and forget it type program. And I think some people think it is, that it's just going to work on its own, and it doesn't. It's, you've got to put some effort in there. I will give my one hard way lesson that we learned through one of our partners is if you are giving out promo codes, when it comes time to things like Black Friday or holiday sales, make sure you have on your website things built in, like only one promo code at a time or only one discount. So if you're auto applying Black Friday deals on your website, don't allow promo codes at that point in time, or you could wind up with some very deep discounts you were not expecting. So think through your discount strategy. That would be my hard way lesson that was learned. But yeah, so Ryan, this was amazing. Thank you so much. And we will put in the comments and notes how you can reach out to reversion, you can always reach out to us and we can put you in touch. So thank you so much, Ryan.
Thank you, Erica. Really enjoyed it.